So, here we are again. I got a few things to say. However, I have 5 books in front of me, each one of them equally excellent. So, we've got ESP, Cat's Eye, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Vicinity Cluster, and The Magical Passes with Carlos Castaneda. When you jump in feet first, you can't just run away. So, I found all these fascinating things, and I was delivering Chinese tonight. Food, I might add, not the actual people. They're really nice family. I've known them for like several decades. And what I wanted to say was that don't judge the Chinese too harshly because they're really family orientated, and I have a lot of respect for that. The son, he runs all the telephone, the any orders, the interaction when people come in. Absolutely fascinating. So polite, really, really polite. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Really, really, a gentleman. And the mother is a absolute lady. The father, total gentleman. A little bit harsh, bit like my dad, little angry man, but actually not, because he's like really, when little children come in, he gives them like lollies and sweeties and things like that. So they're really kind of, and this is what has been lost in our world, that community, that family. And it really doesn't matter what country you come from or language you speak. When you connect together, you're speaking the language of our spirit, which is what we all are. We are shards of great spirit. Anyway, so I'm going to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You know, you know the rest. Which one do I read from? Maybe I should continue with Vicinity Cluster, because it really was quite profound. I mean, it is quite profound, sorry. But I actually don't remember where I left off. However, I might skip back slightly because I think it is important that sometimes you retrace your steps, as it were. Where was it now? Where on earth is it gone? Hmm. Well, so. Oh, dear Lord. So I'm literally going to just continue, kind of, from where. No, I found a bit before I came on. Or maybe we should do Arthur Dent. Arthur Dent. Yeah. Because I think it's an Arthur Dent time, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? Right. I think we're going with Arthur Dent. Sod it. Well, I'm doing Arthur Dent. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy has a few things to say on the subject of towels. Now, just in case you have forgotten about how important a towel is, Douglas Adams was some dude. I mean, really, he was. Fascinating guy. A towel, it says, is about the most massively useful thing an interstellar hitchhiker can have. Partly, it has great practical value. You can wrap it around you for warmth as you bound across the cold moons of Jaglan Beta. You can lie on it, inhaling the heady sea vapors. You can sleep under it beneath the stars, which shine so really, sorry, readily. I apologize. On the desert of world of Krakrafoon. I mean, only Douglas Adams would make this stuff up. Use it to sail a mini raft down the slow, heavy river Moth. Wet it for use in hand to hand combat. Wrap it around your head to ward off nauseous fumes or avoid the gaze of the ravenous bug blatter beast of Thrall. Now, anyone that cares to have a little bit of humour in their lives might actually appreciate Douglas Adams and all of the books that he wrote in the Hitchhiker's Guide. Anyway, a mind bog. So the ravenous bug blatter beast of Thrall is a mind-bogglingly stupid animal. It assumes that if you can't see it, it can't see it can't see you. Well, it kind of sounds like a an ostrich, but then I mean ostriches are pretty clever, and I don't think they actually bury their heads in the sand. So I've never really bought that one. But see, when life gets really, really sad, you've got to have humor. Humor will bring you back to reality. And this is why I love Douglas Adams' writings. And it's laughing at yourself as well. And this is what I liked about it. All of his writings. Anyway, where was I? It assumes that if you can't see it, if it can't see you, you can't see it. Daft as a brush, but very, very ravenous. You can wave your towel in emergencies as a distress signal, like a flag, you know. And of course, dry yourself off with it if it still seems to be clean enough. I mean, that's the funniest part. If your towel is clean enough, you can still dry yourself with it. More importantly, a towel has immense psychological value. For some reason, if a strag, non-hitchhiker, discovers that a hitchhiker has his towel with him, he will automatically assume that he is also in possession of a toothbrush, face flannel, soap, tin of biscuits, flask, compass, map, ball of string, gnat spray, wet weather gear, spacesuit, etc., etc. Furthermore, the strag will then happily lend the hitchhiker any of these or a dozen other items that the hitchhiker might accidentally have lost. Now, we all lose things from day to day and moment to moment. That was my addition. What the strag will think is that any man who can hitch the length and breadth of the galaxy, rough it, slum it, struggle against terrible odds, win through and still know where his towel is clearly a man to be reckoned with. Hence, a phrase which has passed into hitchhiking slang, as in, hey, you sass that hoopy Ford prefect. There is a Frood who really knows where his towel is. Sass. No, be aware of, meet, have sex with. Hoopy, really together guy. Frood, really amazingly together guy. Nestling quietly on top of the towel in Fort Prefect's satchel in the sub-ether sensormatic began to wink more quickly. Miles above the surface of the planet, the huge yellow something began to fan out. At Yodderall Bank, someone decided it was time for a nice relaxing cup of tea. You got a towel with you? Said Ford suddenly to Arthur. Arthur, struggling through his third pint, looked round at him. Why, what? No, what should I have? He had given up being surprised. There really didn't seem to be any point in any longer. Ford clicked his tongue in irritation. Drink up, he urged. At that moment, the dull sound of a rumbling crash from outside filtered through the low murmur of the pub. Through the sound of the jukebox, through the sound of the man next to Ford hiccuping over the whiskey Ford had eventually bought him, Arthur choked on his beer, leapt to his feet. What's that? He yelped. Don't worry, said Ford. They haven't started yet. Oh, thank God for that, said Arthur, and relaxed. Remember, Arthur is still wearing his pajamas, his slippers, and his dressing gown. But they're going to bulldoze his house because they're putting was it in America? They called it a highway. Is it a highway? It's basically a motorway. And they've done this a lot through the decades, you know. It's probably just your house being knocked down, said Ford, downing his last pint. What? Shouted Arthur. Suddenly Ford's spell was broken. Arthur looked wildly around him and ran to the window. My God! They are! They're knocking my house down. What the hell am I going... What am I doing in this pub, Ford? It hardly makes any difference at this stage, said Ford. Let them have their fun. Fun? Yelped Arthur. Fun? He quickly checked out of the window. And again, they were talking about the same thing. Damn their fun, he shouted and ran out of the pub, furiously waving nearly empty beer glasses. He made no friends at the pub that lunchtime. Stop, you vandals! You have some wreckers, brawled Arthur. You half-crazed Visigoths! Stop, will you? Ford would have to go after him. Turning quickly to the barman, he asked for 4 packets of peanuts. There you are, sir, said the barman, slapping the packets on the bar. 28 pence, if you'd be so kind. 28 pence? Yeah, you go buy a packet of peanuts today. Yeah, you'll pay about £2 in the pub for like a tiny little thing. Ford was very kind. He gave the barman another £5 note and told him to keep the change. The barman looked at him, but excuse me. The barman looked at it and then looked at Ford. He suddenly shivered. He experienced a momentary sensation that he didn't understand because no one on earth had ever experienced it before. In moments of great stress, every life form that exists gives out a tiny subliminal signal. This signal simply communicates an exact and almost pathetic sense of how far that being is from the place of his birth. On Earth, it is never possible to be further than 16,000 miles from your birthplace, which really isn't very far. So such signals are too minute to be noticed. Ford Prefect was at this moment under great stress. And now Ford Prefect doesn't really get stressed much, by the way. And he was born 600 light years away in the near vicinity of Betelgeuse. The barman reeled for a moment, hit by a shocking, incomprehensible sense of distance. He didn't know what it meant, but he looked at Ford Prefect with a new sense of respect, almost awe. Are you serious, sir? He said. in a small whisper which had the effect of silencing the pub. You think the world's going to end? Yes, said Ford. But this afternoon? Ford had recovered himself. He was at his flippest. Yes, he said gaily. In less than 2 minutes, I would estimate. The barman couldn't believe the conversation he was having. But he couldn't believe the sensation he had just had either. Isn't there anything we can do about it then? He said. No, nothing, said Ford, stuffing the peanuts into his pockets. Someone in the hushed bar suddenly laughed raucously at how stupid everyone had become. Yeah, you know that one. The man sitting next to Ford was a bit sozzled by now. His eyes weaved their way up to Ford. I thought, he said, that if the world was going to end, we were meant to lie down or put paper bags over our heads or something. If you like, yes, said Ford. That's what they told us in the army, said the man, and his eyes began the long trek back downwards towards his whiskey. Will that help? Asked the barman. I don't think it will help. And on that note, I thank you if you care to listen, and I wish you great days ahead.